You wake up and the first feeling isn't ready. It's heaviness, not sleepy like you need 5 more minutes. Heavy like your body already spent today's battery in advance. You slept. You did the responsible thing. You were in bed for 7, 8, maybe even 9 hours, and somehow you still feel like you're dragging a backpack full of wet sand through the morning. That's the part that messes with your head. Because if sleep didn't fix it, what will? Coffee helps for a moment, then it turns into jittery fatigue. Motivation speeches don't touch it. Even days off don't fully reset it. And after a while, you start building a story. Maybe I'm just lazy. Maybe I'm weak. Maybe this is my personality now. But that story is usually wrong. Here's the real truth most people miss. You're not just tired from what you did. You're tired from what your brain is holding. And sleep doesn't always empty that load, because sleep can't fix a nervous system that never feels safe enough to power down. Picture a normal morning. You open your eyes, and before your feet hit the floor, your mind is already moving. It checks messages. It checks time. It checks what you forgot. It checks what might go wrong. Nothing dramatic, just a fast scan that feels automatic. You're not choosing to worry. Your brain is simply booting up in threat mode, like a computer that opens 40 tabs the second it turns on. Then you try to do the healthy thing. You shower, you eat, you sit down to work, and you notice you're not energized. You're pushed, like your body is moving, but your mind is slightly behind it, like you're controlling yourself with a delay, so you reach for stimulation, more caffeine, more music, more scrolling, more something to kick your system awake. And it works, but it's not real energy. It's adrenaline wearing an energy costume. Now a second scene, because this one is even more common. It's evening. You're finally done. You sit down and you tell yourself you'll relax. But relaxing feels weird. Your body is on the couch, yet your brain is still standing. You watch something, but you don't feel it. You scroll, but it doesn't land. You're resting, but you're not recovering. And when you go to bed, your mind starts replaying the day like it's searching for a mistake. That's the moment of truth. The reason you're tired even after sleep is often not lack of sleep. It's that you never truly stopped being on duty. Think of your nervous system like a security guard. A good security guard does rounds, checks the doors, and then sits down when the building is quiet. But if the guard believes the building is constantly at risk, he never sits. He keeps pacing. He keeps scanning. He keeps listening for something to go wrong. Even if nothing is happening, the guard is spending energy. That's what a lot of modern fatigue is. Security guard fatigue. Not because your life is physically dangerous, but because your brain is interpreting your life as socially, mentally, or emotionally unsafe. Too much uncertainty, too much pressure, too many open loops, and the guard stays up even while you sleep. Here's how that works in simple terms. Sleep restores the body, but your brain only restores fully when it believes recovery is allowed. If your system feels like tomorrow is a threat, it doesn't power down. It sleeps with one eye open. You can get hours in bed, but the quality of that rest is shallow because the engine never truly idles. This is why some people wake up exhausted after 8 hours, but feel strangely alive after a day where they felt safe, connected, and clear, even if they slept less. It's not magic, it's nervous system math. Now let's do the forensic breakdown. Where exactly you lose control? It usually happens in 3 places, and you'll recognize at least one. The first is your day is filled with micro threats, not big drama, just constant signals to your brain that you have to perform, respond, keep up. Your brain doesn't process this as modern life. It processes it as, I must stay alert. The second is you carry open loops into the night, unfinished tasks, unresolved conversations, unclear plans, vague responsibilities. Your brain hates open loops because open loops mean risk, so it keeps them active. And that the third is you try to rest without actually turning off the stimuli that keep your system activated. You call it relaxing, but you're still consuming fast content, still reading stressful posts, still checking messages. You're sitting down, but your nervous system is still at work. And here's the hidden cost that makes everything worse. When you feel tired all the time, you start living smaller. You stop training, you stop socializing, You stop starting things. You cut your life down to what you can survive, not what you actually want. Then you feel even more tired because your life starts feeling like a loop of maintenance, not progress. That alone can make fatigue feel heavier because your brain senses we're not moving, which creates more pressure, which creates more alertness. So no, this isn't a character flaw. This is a system doing exactly what it learned to do. Stay ready. The fix isn't sleep more as your only strategy. Sleep matters, but if the guard stays on patrol all day and all night, more hours in bed just becomes more hours of light-duty scanning. You need a way to signal safety, close loops, and lower the baseline alert level. That's what recovery actually is. Here's a practical protocol you can run for 7 days, a set of small, concrete actions that teach your nervous system a new default. First, you need a real shutdown ritual that takes 5 minutes, not 30. The goal is not to journal your life. The goal is to tell your brain, nothing is being forgotten. Tomorrow is handled. Before bed, you write down 3 things. The one priority for tomorrow, the first tiny action to start it, and anything your brain keeps repeating. When you finish, you put the paper away like you parked those thoughts. This is not productivity. This is nervous system closure. If your brain wakes you up at 2 a.m. with that same thought, you're not supposed to solve it in bed. You're supposed to remind your system it's parked. That movement is important. It tells your body bed is for sleep, not for meetings. Second, you need to stop using your phone as a sedative, because what it really does is keep your system half awake while your body is trying to recover. If the last 30 minutes of your night are bright, light, fast content, and emotional input, your brain doesn't read that as safe. So create a hard barrier that's so small you can actually do it. 30 minutes phone out of reach, not across the room as a suggestion. Out of reach like it's not part of the bedroom. If that feels impossible, start with 15 minutes. The goal is to retrain the association. Night equals downshift. Third, you need a daily pressure release that happens before the evening, because if you don't release pressure during the day, it shows up at night as mental noise. This is not go to the gym and become a new person. This is 5 to 10 minutes of physical discharge, a brisk walk outside, a short set of squats, a few push-ups, a fast shower, something that tells the body, we spent the stress. Stress is chemistry. If you don't metabolize it, you carry it. One of the simplest options is a 10-minute walk with no audio, no podcasts, no music, just walking. This is not for discipline points. This is for your nervous system to complete the stress cycle and come back to baseline. People underestimate how much fatigue is actually trapped activation. Fourth, you need to protect one block of the day from mental scatter, because scatter is exhausting. A lot of modern tiredness isn't from hard work. It's from switching. Your brain spends energy on transitions. So pick one 20-minute block where you do one thing with your phone away. One task, one document, one focus. 20 minutes is enough to prove to your brain we can move forward. Forward motion reduces fatigue because it reduces open loops. And here's the key. You're not chasing productivity. You're chasing a calmer nervous system. Progress is the byproduct. Fifth, you need to fix the most common sleep killer nobody talks about, mental bargaining. This is that loop where you try to fall asleep by negotiating with your thoughts. That's your security guard asking for one more lap around the building. The moment you notice bargaining, you run the same move every time. One long exhale, then a simple phrase like not now, not stop thinking forever, not I shouldn't be like this, just not now. If your brain keeps pushing, you don't argue. You repeat the same response. You're training the guard. Guards follow routines. When you make your response consistent, your brain learns that nighttime thoughts don't get attention. Now, a quick but important piece of truth. Sometimes this tiredness is also coming from basic physical factors. I'm not diagnosing you through a screen, but if you're doing the nervous system work and you still feel crushed for weeks, it's worth getting basic labs and checking sleep quality. That's not weakness, that's maintenance. But for most people, the biggest shift comes from one realization. You don't need more motivation. You need less hidden stress. Let me give you a realistic picture of what this looks like when it works. In the first 2 or 3 days, you'll still feel tired. That's normal. Your system doesn't trust the new signals yet. It's been on guard for months or years, but you may notice one small change. Your mind gets quieter, faster at night, or you wake up with slightly less dread. By day 4 or 5, you'll notice something else. Your fatigue will start separating into 2 types. There's real physical tiredness, which feels clean, and there's anxious tiredness, which feels wired and heavy. When you start lowering your baseline alertness, that second type decreases, and that's when sleep starts feeling like recovery again, not just time passing. By the end of a week, success doesn't mean you wake up like a motivational poster. It means you wake up with fewer invisible weights, you feel a little more in your body, you stop needing so much stimulation to feel alive, and you start trusting that rest is not dangerous, because that's the core issue behind tired even after sleep. Your brain thinks rest is risky. It thinks if it powers down, you'll fall behind or get blindsided. So it keeps you slightly activated all the time. Once you see it that way, the solution becomes clearer. You're not trying to force yourself to sleep harder. You're teaching your system that the building is safe. You close the loops. You reduce the noise. You discharge the stress. You make rest a protected space again. So here's the new lens to keep. Fatigue is often not the absence of sleep. It's the presence of constant alertness.